And you're very welcome along to Off the Brawl on Off the Ball. I'm Ronan Mullen, joined as ever by Phil Egan. Andy Lee is on sabbatical this week, so we've got a very capable replacement. Niall Kennedy is in studio. Niall, how are you?
How are you lads? How are you keeping?
All good, yeah.
I wouldn't say a capable replacement, but a replacement.
Oh, listen, you're on trial here. Andy has to watch himself. Phil, I think last time we were in, it was just Dublin had just drawn with Kerry in the All-Ireland final, and was talk of the 5 in a row kind of simmering down a little bit.
No, it was another case of Kerry had their chance on the first day and they couldn't put Dublin away. So yeah, 15 on 15 turned out to be a bit of a tougher test for Kerry.
Niall, you're a big GAA man. What'd you make of it?
Yeah, I think Phil's right in what he said. That Kerry definitely missed the ball the first day, but Dublin, you can't but admire him 5 in a row. It's a fantastic achievement. And that young fella, like the young lad that scored a goal, even though it was a free out, because he took about 15 steps.
I've seen a lot of this, that he did take way too many steps, but he was being fouled, so I think the ref gave him the benefit of the doubt. So
possibly, yeah.
If the ref stopped it, he would have actually just given a free in. Now, Kerry would argue it would only be a point, but...
No, I don't think there's any argument. I think Dublin are just the young fellas they can bring in, and the panel, and just their squad in depth and everything. It's fantastic.
But Paul Galvin's got the Wexford footballers now, so it's only a matter of time before we...
Please God, yeah. Well, he can't do any worse. We've been going bad, there is, like, the mad thing about we done 4 in a row in the 60s, I think, in Wexford. Like, it would have been a very strong... I played a little bit of under-21 football for Wexford as well, and it would have been very strong all the way up along, and it's just petered off. Like, I think when Matty and Andy Masterson you bet us in your first year, really, wasn't it, Dublin?
Yeah, but I think at the game under Pat Gilroy, where I went to extra time, and Dublin had a player sent off, and obviously when it goes into extra time, then there's that ridiculous rule in GAA where you can bring a player back on. But
oh my God.
I think one of my best friends that she was over me fighting Boston, Anthony Masterson, was in goal that day.
Yeah.
Didn't have one of his finest moments for Wexford, but we were unlucky back then. We had a serious team, Red Barry and Matty, Kieran Ling, serious footballers. And
the hurlers are flying. They should have won the All-Ireland now.
Yeah, I think so. I actually do think so.
Yeah, big time. Yeah. Like I was away, but I was watching it and I couldn't believe it. I was like, Wexford are 5 up and a player up. This is unbelievable. This is going to be Davy's greatest moment. If he could win an All-Ireland with Wexford.
I don't think it's past him either. I'm pleased. God, I'm praying that he's staying on. Conor Mack is another very good friend of mine. He's been saying that he thinks he will, and they've done. There's so much you'd hear outside of it, but what he does to the squad is unbelievable. Like, he's galvanised that group of young people. Like, and they are they put some effort into that this year. Like, so, I'd love for Wexford. Like, if you would have seen Gorey even the week before it, like, it was just purple and gold everywhere. Like, it was brilliant. It was amazing. So, and it sort of livened up the summer a bit down home as well. Like, it was deadly. Yeah,
Wexford, it's a special kind of fan base. One of my friends, I met her just because I was going into Croke Park again when they were playing Tipperary, and she was like, she couldn't even speak. She was so like hyped up for it. It was so, and what a game as well. But Conor Mack, is he a new age sort of PT, or what's his kind of style?
He boxed, you see. He won a couple of... he won one All-Ireland. He boxed a couple of times. He boxed against England for Ireland as well. Like, so he was a very good boxer underage, but he just had to make that decision as a chap because, like, he has goals that people wouldn't even see in hurling. Like, he wants to remember, like, wants to go down in history books. So he had to make a choice, and he made it at 15. But sure, he was playing... Or 13, I think. But he was playing... At 14, he was playing under 16 for Wexford. At 16 he was playing minor and under 21 for Wexford, and at 17 he played senior for Wexford. Like, so he was sort of a little, like, he seems like he's around so long, but he's only a chap. Like, he's only a baby. He's only 23. Like, so I don't know, he's confident that they're going to have a massive year. I think they will, and I think the link up with us is more over that we're good friends. He knows, but he'd come boxing with me a little bit. He would have came up to Celtic Warriors a good bit last year. And my PT trainer, my strength trainer, it's not actually PT, it's just strength training I do, because I do all my own fitness, and Pascal does all my boxing work. Like, so it was just a strength trainer, and he offered, he said, I'll help you out if the other man's not available. So, I've been working with Ivan Lynch for 2 years, and he's been brilliant, but it was just the thing that he was away, his family were away on holidays, and it didn't fit, like, so that was it. So that's how Conor got involved, and I'd say he'll probably be involved from here on in. There's a bit of crack as well.
And we were just chatting off air, Niall, before we came on about last time you were in, and it was all looking rosy, and then it kind of spiraled a little bit from when you left the studio. Can you just tell everybody a little bit about what happened?
Yeah.
Andy Lee let the cat out of the bag.
Andy wasn't supposed to. No, never again.
Never give him the win on lotto.
Lesson is learned now. I know it was just no excuses. I lost on the night, and I won't say any other reason for it, but I fell on a bit of bad luck. The week before, it was with G, the Tuesday, the Wednesday, I done a strength session at home, jumped into the car and drove to Dublin to do my last spar on the Wednesday afternoon, and the back just from there on in started getting worse and worse and worse. So it ended up, I got the MRI. Well, if I was to do the long story short, I got into the ring, I thought I had it sorted. Me and Pascal had been in the sea in Boston a good bit, like trying to get everything ground, get the inflammation down and all, and felt good, doing pads good, and next thing I get in the ring and something as innocuous as bending over for the introduction to touch my toes, and bang, my back went into spasm straight away. So, but look, no excuses. It was Devin Vargas's night. I box him for nothing again if I could, but I'd love to get the rematch, but we'll wait and see what happens.
Is it always in your mind when you're in Boston? Is it in the back of your mind thinking, is this going to flare up again, or can I get through it?
I'd lie. I'd lie if I said I didn't. The Wednesday it started hurting. The Thursday wasn't great. I got physio. The Friday it was really bad. I got physio again. The Saturday I had organised the physio because I knew I was flying out on Monday, so I got another physio. I'd done a recovery day the Sunday in the sea. I was going to get arrested under the Mental Health Act because it was absolutely teeming out of heavens, and I was walking around in the sea up to my chest because I can't swim. But yeah, so, and then Monday I done pads with Pascal, and we were going to make a call on Monday whether we'd go ahead or not, and I done pads, and I wasn't 1,000,000%, but I felt I could do it, and I felt that I'd still a week of rest that I'd be able to do it. So hindsight is a great thing. Look, hindsight now was definitely should have maybe put it onto a different card maybe or something like that, but I trained since March for that, and it was the big name that I'd asked for. It was what I wanted, and sparring and everything had went so well. Even the Wednesday, my last spar had went well, and I don't know, I'm 35, you sort of have this feeling that if you miss these opportunities, they go away from you, but hindsight now, maybe I should have took the foot off the pedal and took 2 weeks off maybe, or got it sorted, because it was a little bit more severe than had hoped. I got back, I got an MRI, and I'd 3 bulging discs, and one of them was herniated, but the herniated disc is rubbing off a root nerve as well, so that's obviously what's causing the spasm. So, but we're with a specialist yesterday, and he's hoping that he's put me on this program of stretching, and hopefully he's trying to avoid any injections and stuff like that, because I'm in an impact sport as well. You don't really want injections to numb stuff.
You had problems with your back before?
In my life, once, only ever, years ago, deadlifting, and that would have been down to bad technique, would have been doing my own stuff in the gym, but nothing crazy, and this just happened. I suppose it's probably because of being a bit lanky and narrow, maybe. I have a bad lower back, but it took me by surprise. But on the night he boxed, I wouldn't say I underestimated him, because I believed that it was his last chance saloon, so he was going to be at the best he would, and he had a fight fixed for September, so I thought he would have been in camp, and now I don't know how serious he takes his camps anymore. That's the other side of it. But I got in the ring, he was very sharp, very elusive, but I still feel I could have stopped him in the third round, only I couldn't put that final bit of pressure on, because I don't know if you're fighting with, you're sort of holding your breath, throwing your punches, because you're nervous of your own body's reaction. But look, we'll bury you.
Just as it happened in the ring, because the psychology of it's always so interesting, like, what was going through your mind? Is it all a blur, like, oh God, this,
No.
that, and before the bell? Like, what were your thoughts between that and the bell, first bell?
I'd love to say it was a blur, but I could remember every second of it because Pascal fell out with me over it because I didn't tell Pascal I'd hurt it. I didn't tell him it went into spasm. And all his instructions through the fight, I couldn't carry out. Like, you know, we'd worked, and I said, like, if I fight the man again, he's going to know anything. But we'd worked specifically on a left hook because he leans to his right, like. So, I was jab getting him on a big left hook. And Pascal said, throw the left hook, in probably not as nice as that. And I'm there, I can't, like, and all I'm literally able to do was plod forward, trying to lean on to get a breather, doing little shots and stuff like that. So I come back to the corner after the first was a peter and out round. It wasn't too bad anyway. Second was a bit worse, but then I come back after the second, and he's putting the stool out, and I kicked the stool out of the ring. I should have just said, passing my back is gone, but you don't want to believe it in your own head. Nearly you're hoping that it's just a pain or a twinge or something, but I kicked the stool out and he didn't cop it. Then we had a clash of heads in the third, and he cut my right eye. So I'm 6'4", Pascal's not that tall, and he needed to work on the eye, so I had to sit down. But getting down and up off the stool was probably harder than any punch I was getting in the fight, you know. Crazy, comic.
And what were Pascal's thoughts after the fact, once he knew what went down, and what's he think of that fight and your plans from here?
Look, he's massively disappointed. He's massively disappointed in me as well, because there's a trust thing in a boxer and a trainer, which, like, I have to believe that he'll always have my best interests at heart, and I know he does. But he can't look after me as his fighter if he didn't know that. So he was disappointed with me over that. Plus, the other side of it is he could have changed the plan, like, because we've done a lot in this camp because we thought he'd probably be that little bit slicker than me, do you know what I mean? So we were able to step it up into the area, whereas in hindsight now, if I'd have sat on his chest, not had that movement, try and block off his movement and just close shots, which Pascal, we talked about it after it, and I didn't want to believe the back had went, and I knew if I vocalised it, then you've admitted it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm an idiot. That's the only words. It's my fault. We're confident if we can get him back. I think at 20%, well, not even 20%. I think at 20%, I nearly stopped him in the third round. I believe in the fifth, like, he wasn't hurting me, but I've only looked back at it once, but looking at it, I didn't. I was sort of had my hands down. I wasn't really respecting his punches, and he landed about 5 or 6. The referee, I know a long time, stopped it. There's people dying in this sport, so I'm not going to argue with the referee, but if you were to go onto the rule, you can't stop a fight in the last 10 seconds, and there was 4 seconds left in the round, so, you know, so there's loads of little things, and a bad way of putting it is, but he definitely had emptied the tank, do you know what I mean? So if I'd have got out for the 6th round, I think it'd have been a comfortable enough finish out to the fight. You know, my fitness was grand, but it was just, bad day at the office. Yeah.
And we had Jason Quigley in on the last programme, and he's obviously talks openly about his first defeat and how it's affected his perspective, or just changed his perspective rather. Has it changed your approach to things at all? Or
it has. I'm going to blame Jason and Andy for this. That was my 15th fight as well. Boys were on about 15th fight that he lost in his 15th fight, and then Jason lost in his 15th fight. Then I go out and lose in my 15th fight, but different levels. The lads lost at world level, mine wasn't world level. If I was beaten and I believe that was because of my ability or because of something I had done in training or I didn't train hard enough, it would change my perspective. But you know, that wasn't a true reflection of me, because I wasn't even at 50%, you know what I mean? The specialist yesterday said he couldn't understand how I even got into the ring, but sure, I got into the ring fine, but it was when it went, like, you know, because I asked him yesterday when could I go back training, and I'm not allowed to go back training for another 2 weeks still. Like, you know, he said, I'm not fit now to train. So hindsight is a great thing. Look, perspective-wise, I just need to make sure that I train smarter, probably. And a lot of my issues is driving from Gorey to Dublin or from Wicklow to Dublin, you know, and being stuck in a car. So I'm going to have me and Pastel are meeting this afternoon, hopefully.
The driver. And you can lie in the back.
Have you seen what I get paid now?
Get Connor to drive you around.
Yeah.
He'd love that.
He's a sponsored car. I'll get him to that.
Yeah, so I'm keeping you busy anyway. I got you to do your top 10 heavyweights, so we might get to that in a minute. But one man who has claimed to number one in that ranking is Tyson Fury, and he was in action at the weekend. Phil, didn't probably go quite as he had anticipated, or his team.
That's it. You know, the start of the show that he puts on, you know, he comes in with the mariachi band and looks the part, gets the crowd up for it, and then gets the cut in the third round. And if it was any other fighter than Tyson Fury, that fight would have been stopped.
Yeah.
But because he's Tyson Fury, we've seen even in the Wilder fight, he was given the benefit of the doubt in the 12th round where he could have been stopped straight away, but he got up and saying that at the weekend, if it was any other fighter, they would have been stopped. That cut was nasty. And he's obviously since got his plastic surgery. It was 2 nicks in the end. But he still came back and won. So I'd say in the days afterwards, he's probably delighted that he's basically fought with one eye and still got the win. But it just shows the fine margins that here you have what we believe to have 2 fights with Wilder lined up. And, you know, regardless of what happens in the second, there'll be a third fight. And it all nearly went out the window because of one punch. Just like, look, Niall will back us up here that, you know, we love watching boxing, but sometimes reality kicks in where you realise like how brutal a sport it is, that it could have been taken away from Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
Like, look, he still, I'm sure, would have got a fight with Wilder, but it would have put everything on the shelf for a good few months. It's still going to push it back because of the cut. But Otto Wallin has definitely enhanced his reputation. People wondering who he was beforehand, they know who he is now.
He was impressive, and there's obviously, we always talk about levels, but there are levels within those levels because Tom Schwartz and Otto Wallin have similar records, but the difference in quality was apparent from the first round, really. What were your initial thoughts, Niall?
Yeah, I had Wallin, how are we pronouncing it?
Wallin.
Wallin. I had him win the first round, and then I think I had him the 8th and the last round. But Tyson, I thought, won the rest of them, but like it was a beautiful shot to cut Tyson. He did. Tyson, I thought Tyson struggled. I was surprised he didn't switch to southpaw, to be honest, because I thought he struggled with a southpaw.
He did at one stage, didn't he?
Yeah, but he tends to do it in longer stretches, generally speaking. I think it was more of a brief one at the weekend.
Did I hear somebody from his corner shout at him to get out of it?
Yeah.
Out of southpaw?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. No. Like, you're dead right. That fight, for any other fighter, like, he's probably the most charismatic boxer in the world at the moment. Like, Mayweather's not boxing, so he is probably the name, I suppose. And if that fight was anyone else, they were stopped. Like, you know, the first cut was bad. The second cut was right under it then as well. It was terrible. Like, so he can count himself lucky for that, because it definitely was a punch.
Yeah. Which wasn't initially apparent. Did you see the Sunday?
I think his father came out and gave out no.
He was giving out about his weight as well.
He lost too much weight.
Yeah,
and
he reckons there should be another stone.
And there's a lot of people commenting on Ben Davison training him and probably not being at the level he should be. But I actually think if you listen to the fight, I thought Ben Davison's directions and instructions were fairly bang on, like, you know, and he seemed very calm the whole way through it. I don't know about the cutman thing, when the cutman didn't seem to have a lot of English, and so maybe that's confusing, I don't know, but he probably has to look at his camp, and if the rumours are as they are, that it's a bit jovial and it's a little bit of a mess camp at times, he probably needs to look at that. But
that's just on your point that Ben was giving him good instructions, but as I've flagged up before, I think Tyson Fury's calling his own shots, basically.
Yeah. I think,
don't know how much respect he has for what Ben's telling him. They are like chummy. It's not really.
Isn't that what he's said though? He has said that nobody can really tell me anything I don't know about boxing. Like Ben Davison is basically being a comrade that they're on this journey together. So those camps seem like they're good fun, but that's what he needs.
Yeah, maybe.
And Ben Davison is the one that got him into shape. He's always going to get, like, Ben Davison is always going to come in for criticism if something doesn't go right for Fury because of his age, and
he's fairly out there as well, like, so that's going to bring in criticism as well. Like, he's singing to Tyson in Knox as well, like, so.
I think Shane McGuigan had similar things thrown at him initially when he had Carl Frampton, and it was seen that Carl Frampton was basically running that ship, but Shane McGuigan has since gone on to prove that he can cut it with George Groves, a little bit with David Hay, and then obviously with Luke Campbell a couple of weeks ago. So he's
that really good Scottish kid, is it?
Josh Taylor as well, of course.
It's not bad, yeah.
So he's shown what he's about.
Yeah.
I think Ben will have to do something similar, and unfortunately Billy Joe Saunders has left that camp, so
Where's he gone now?
Back with Dom Ingle.
Oh, is it?
So they're all going back.
Yeah, I don't know. Special K is back.
Special K, yeah. Callum Brooks come back from as well, yeah.
Nice man. He was over in Boston. Keith Galahad was on the card, and he's a nice man, in fairness. And Jason is very fond of him as well. So
yeah, and obviously such a storied name with Brendan and whatnot. But just on the cut, as you were talking about there, like, what do we think of the ethics of that? That number one, it wasn't stopped because it should have been stopped. From a point of view that if it had been anyone else, it would have been. And also, like, how happy is Fury? He's delighted to get out with the win, obviously, but like, those are really detrimental cuts.
I think the wisest thing is definitely to carry on if the fight had to be stopped. Like, exactly like what you were saying earlier about the Wilder fight, and all, it would have a massive effect.
Sure, if it was a clash of heads, that fight would have been stopped straight away.
And points and
he
jobs
gets the
done.
points, and he'd be all right. But there's no way he couldn't fight on. He had to. It's too much at stake.
Had to, cause
like Frank Warren and Bob Arams sitting ringside as well. It's going to take some decision from a doctor or a referee. It's easy to say, but can you imagine the heat on the doctor and the referee? Now, whether you agree or disagree, and that's just the way boxing is at the moment, but there's those Wilder fights.
It's too important for boxing, never mind just for heavyweight boxing.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's the fanfare of boxing at the minute. Like, is there a bigger name in boxing than him? Like?
No, and there's also so much pressure now to deliver entertainment-wise, and we've seen with all these, like, we're getting more access, we're getting better fights, so the pressure is on these promoters to keep delivering. Like, that's Fury's last fight against a lesser-known opponent. Now, everyone knows who he is now, but people laughed when they're like, who is this guy? But that was his last kind of chance to showcase himself, get more Americans to know him, and then you sell the Wilder fight. So there was just too much at stake that he had to keep fighting.
Like, I totally get that from an economics point of view, but I think it's detrimental to his health, and that's going to be that's a huge red flag going forward. It's basically a bullseye for future opponents.
You see what Wallin did during the fight, where he actually that was
a heel move.
That was right in front of the ref, and nothing was said.
Yeah. No, it was such a crazy. I'd say the referee had all these thoughts going through his head, and we should give.
How am I going to get the blood out of my shirt?
We should give a shout out.
He's done a good job, actually, though, to be fair, separating them.
Bernardo Phil was getting all the plaudits from the ESPN team. Did you see it on ESPN, Niall? It was the ringside reporter was going around.
I did. Yeah.
So as everyone assumed it was a head clash initially, but looking back, it probably seemed a bit nonsensical because one of the guys is 6'9", so you'd have to be leaning right in,
jump into him.
Yeah, but Bernardo, the ESPN guy, went over to Ben Davison.
He chased to show that it was a punch, didn't he? They really did. Like,
I don't think Ben knew until it was pointed out to him on TV, which is obviously not the best environment to be finding out such a crucial piece of information.
See, in the round he got cut, I think Tyson had said to the referee, would you watch his head earlier in the round?
Yeah.
He went with the head earlier in the round, like, but come here, Wallin, fair play to him, roughhouse tactics, they worked nearly for him, like, and
yeah.
That gets stopped on a cut. He's the biggest name in boxing then.
He's the lineal.
Yeah.
That's it. Like I was saying,
look at Andy Ruiz, like.
Yeah.
That would have been a bigger shock.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you?
Absolutely. But it was ironic that it happened on this Mexican holiday, because it was a real Mexican style fight, and like, just going back to your point, I have to agree that it's done wonders for his market value, because we all knew he was a slick, fighting the back foot kind of boxer, but he showed he can slug it out when his back's against the wall.
He's good. He has it all, I think. He bit down on the gum shield massively, and there is times he takes his foot off the gas a bit. Like, he definitely could have stopped that man, I think. Your man sort of died of death from the 9th, 10th and 11th, and then he had a resurgence in the last one I gave. In the last round.
Yeah, he definitely hurt him in the last.
I think he was saying that himself, Fury, that another round he might have been in trouble, but like it's such an interesting one. I'm not sure. Fury, we always say that fighters can fight to the level of their opposition. There's a few people like that where if they're against lowly opposition they underperform, but with Fury especially, because he's got this high twitch style. You saw it against Wilder, he was almost scared. Like, he was like, every time Wilder moved he was just twitching around, and I think he needs that sort of fear.
Probably that fear aspect to the power, maybe. Yeah.
I've seen him in a few fights before where he's got. I remember the Cunningham fight where he got put down. And he was lying on the canvas, and he almost just smiled and said, "Didn't see that coming." And then he got up, and then
sort of.
He sprung into action. So it's almost like sometimes he needs that, and then the real ability. Like, we know the ability is there.
Yeah, because we all love the shoulder rolls and all this kind of stuff. But I think when he's tuned in, knowing that something's coming the other way, he's almost at his best. So we'll see that again with the Wilder fight. Yeah. Are we thinking that's still going to happen on the date that was mentioned?
It's hard to.
The cuts are really affecting.
He got 2 months, he was told.
Yeah. Like I mentioned it earlier, you're a top 10 heavyweight, so this is the moment.
This is the moment.
This is going to...
Off the back of the last fight, I probably won't make it myself.
Me and Phil have been arguing with this for a couple of months.
Is this now
This is the definitive of the BRAWL top 10.
Not the definitive, it's my one, I suppose. But I've Tyson at 1, I've Wilder at 2, I've Andy Ruiz at 3, I've AJ at 4, Dylan White at 5. I really rate Luis Ortiz. I have him at 6, Povetkin at 7. And now here I slash a bit. I've Pulev / Chisora at 8, and I've Kaunaki / Parker at 9. And then I've probably one that wouldn't be in most people's top 10, but I've Michael Hunter at 10.
Impressive at the weekend.
Yeah, I think he's not too bad. Like, his only loss is to Usyk. So, and then I just wrote down that Usyk will be in there if he had fought a heavyweight. Yeah. Definitely, I don't know. You pick your own.
Yeah, no. If he got that, if that Takam fight happened,
had it came through, he will be in there. And then your prospects, like, I don't know if you've heard that. There's an Efe Ajaja. It's Nigerian heavyweight. He's a powerhouse. He's good. I think he's going to upset people. Hrgovic is a name.
Yeah.
I'm not George Ice's biggest fan, but he's getting the job done. Like, so he's there, and then another one that hasn't boxed yet but was supposed to box and has only a loss to Usyk as well as Murat Gassiev, and he's supposed to have stepped up to heavyweight. So, like, they would Gassiev and Usyk would definitely be in the top 10 if they were active heavyweights, like, but they haven't boxed yet. So that's my humble.
Sounds
section.
Good. What do you think, Phil?
What about Dubois?
I have him in the prospects.
He'll be.
I think he will knock the door. Yeah, but I don't like.
Are we going to see Dubois and Joyce? Is that just a case of there's too much to lose?
I think
Joyce is getting on.
Yeah.
So he can't really be.
It's a risky fight.
Whereas
for
Dubois
Joyce,
is so young.
There's not much in it for Joyce. It would be a good name for Dubois to get in his record.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to make him a slight favourite at this point.
I'd love to see it, but
I'd like to see Dubois and Gorman again, because there was stuff going on outside of boxing that had Gorman. Now, look, we all can have excuses for stuff going on outside as well. But I actually think Nathan Gorman, I think
he can come again.
Yeah,
definitely.
And what, like, he shows his, like, he didn't box like that against Dubois, but he showed against Sean Turner that he can be explosive as well when he sits in the pocket and goes for it. Like, he just, I don't know, it just didn't resemble the Nathan Gorman that I'd looked at coming up along when he boxed the whole way.
So is there any matchups in that top 10 you'd like to see beyond the ones that are already made?
Kaunaki. I'd like Kaunaki with anyone in that top 10. He's horrendous to look at. he's not a model, like, he's not, but he is.
Him against Andy Ruiz, I see.
He is teak tough. I remember years ago watching him box Michael Mullaney in an Ireland versus USA thing in New York, and he's just like, he's mad, and he brings. That was, I'll never forget, we boxed in a basketball arena, and like he brought about 1,000 Polish people to that. Like he's a massive name in New York. Like so, he would. I think him and any of them would be a great fight. Like I think Ortiz. Like you have to think if I feel Anthony Joshua will beat Ruiz.
How close is that in your head? Is that a 50-50?
No.
60-40? You Joshua a big favourite?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, but Andrew Ruiz is completely wrong for him. And I said that before the first fight as well. But I just think on the ball, he technically does everything right. Like but he has to maintain that. Like he can't chase it down. Like he has to stay technically at it.
I think the beauty of this fight being in Saudi Arabia, and there's not much in that column where it's not a great venue for it, but there's no pressure on Anthony Joshua to put on a spectacular performance.
Yeah.
If he does what he did against Joseph Parker and just boxes for 12 rounds, keeps the shorter man at bay, gets his belts back, and just says, right, that's it, I'm done with that now.
And if you think back to the first fight, it was going well. He got the knockdown.
Yeah, he looked a little bit out of sorts though, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, there was something strange about him. Sorry.
Well, like when Ruiz gets knocked down, then he comes out swinging.
Yeah.
So I wonder what happens in the rematch if Joshua starts well and maybe gets a knockdown.
Do you see?
I think there has to be. You said it there. Like there definitely something out of sorts. Like he's in the ring before the fight and he's messing around with his gum shield and his mouth and all. It just like, and there was rumours of stuff in the change room and all before the fight. Like he definitely wasn't 100%. There was something wrong.
How much does the environment affect you? Like, is a ring at the end of the day, or are you paying much heed to what's going on around you?
I know a ring's a ring, but like, I hope he's fairly clever in his training and all that. But I definitely, from my own perspective, I've learned like my two worst performances now have come summertime in outdoor arenas in America. So I'm from Wexford and sunny southeast, but I'm not climatised for American hot weather, I think. So
humidity probably.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to look at that going forward and stay away from outdoor arenas maybe, you know, and I hope he's prepared for that. Like, I'd imagine he is. Like, he's smart, his camp is fairly on the ball, like, and everyone gives out about Rob McCracken, but sure, I think the GB have 6 people in the semi-finalists or quarter-finalists today.
He's not bad.
No, he's a great man. He's a nice man as well. But if he boxes smart, if he gets into the ring right, that's a 70-30 fight in my opinion. But it's a 70-30 fight against a big puncher, small, that's explosive and comes up. So I always thought he'd be awkward for him because no big man likes fighting a small man. And I thought he'd be wrong for him, but I just think, like what you said, when it's straightforward up till he knocks him down.
Yeah.
Then he sort of jumps into it and then he gets bang. Do you know what I mean? So if he stays distance, I think it could be a bore fest. It could be a boring 12 rounds. But
I'd say Rob McCracken would love a boring 12 rounds.
I'd say he'd take. But so would Anthony now as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And just while we're on that card, it's in my head that there's rumours that John O'Carroll and Scott Quigg would be on the undercard, which would be a great matchup for one, and also brilliant exposure for Jono if he can land on that card. So hopefully that does come together. You mentioned Dillian White. You have a number 5 there.
Yeah.
I think you might remember last time we were waxing lyrical about Dillian White, a brilliant performance, and then
I think that backfired on us massively, didn't it?
5 minutes after the show ended, it came out.
Yeah.
So it's still up in the air. There seems to be a bit of legalese around it, and he might actually be in the clear, but still remains to be seen.
There probably is something messing around though. If that'll be his second failed test. He was banned before as well, like, so I don't know.
So it remains to be seen where he's going to land.
But I don't think he gets suspended, whatever happens, will he?
No, I think he's clear. He could fight now if he wants to.
I was looking at there was no Jarrell Miller in there, and he'll be back soon.
He's cleared to fight as well.
And back in a big fight as well. And he was caught with, I think they found more prohibited stuff in his blood than normal blood nearly. Like, you know,
and you just, you'll hear the commentary, such power from Miller. Where does he get it from?
Or where does he? How does he have this energy? He's throwing power shots for all fight.
For such a big man.
Oh God.
Lucas said sport.
It's mad. Like there's some pundits in the boxing world where I respect them and I just can't understand how they just have a blind spot around this, like with certain fighters. I don't know. But Chisora Parker, you mentioned last time you were a big fan of Chisora.
I am a big fan of Chisora. I have him back in, my top 10 because I don't know. I just think he's exciting. And
Did you have him as a main event?
Yeah,
no, I wouldn't have him as a main event.
What
on
a
that
press
card.
conference!
Yeah, I wouldn't. But yeah, he's a lunatic. But I think that's why people like him as well. Though you don't know what to make. Like him and David Hay, like smashing bottles off each other and everything. And now
that was a mad night. Was that the night he fought Klitschko and spat water at the other Klitschko before the fight?
At the weigh-in or something?
Or no, in the ring, just as they were squaring off, he just spat water.
Yeah.
He's mad though. He is mad and properly mad. Like
that's a good matchup. Who do you make favourite in that, Parker Chisora?
Parker will definitely go into the ring favourite, but I'd fancy I fancy Derek Chisora on his day against most people, to be honest, because he's such power. Like he's dynamic and he can box. Like he was a good amateur as well, and he just it's him outside of the ring. What Derek Chisora turns up like, you know, and it's hard to know. But like that press conference, I think everyone thought we'd seen this new. I think he's after finding God or something, he said, isn't he? And this new calmer man. And then he flips the lid over not being main event, so you don't know what to think with him.
Yeah, and the juggling of trainers we mentioned earlier in the show, like he's gone from Dave Caldwell's gym already, and they've only been together for 2 fights. So it's
is he back with Don Charles? Or?
I'm not sure. I think that's still, he's going to be based in London. Like the commute to Rotherham wasn't going to work out for either guy, so I think that's
David Hayes' job is just to keep an eye on him and make sure he
doesn't hurt anyone or do anything.
He gets into the gym and does his work.
That combination will never not be strange, just looking at those two coming to the ring together.
But looking at David Hay when the other lad flipped the lid the other day, like David Hay is nearly afraid beside him. Like, how do you turn around and say to Derry, calm down there, Derry?
And we mentioned Usyk earlier. Do you know much about his opponent, Spong? Former kickboxer?
No. I think he's Dutch, isn't he? Or something like that. Yeah, kickboxer as well. So he's a big man. I think he's been in a good few of Tyson's camps, actually. In Tyson Fury's camps. They used to, I know Peter Fury used to have a camp based in Holland at one point. So
I think we're all just excited to see Usyk make his heavyweight debut, and that'll be in Chicago. I think tickets are going really well for that. So I think his future might be in Britain, though. You saw the reception he got at the Lomachenko fight, and
a lot of that falls back to the 2012 Olympics as well. Like him and Lomachenko and Katie out at Olympics were the biggest names coming out of it. Like so.
Yeah, and speaking of Lomachenko, one man is calling his name, called him, was it Nomachenko?
Nomachenko, yeah.
Devin Haney at the weekend, who, like, he's all the raw materials. He's still only 20. He's definitely has a big future in the sport, but I think Lomachenko's a handful for anybody at this stage. What did we make of Devin Haney there?
Yeah, no, like it was a strange stoppage. You know, like he started well. He does all the basics very well, and you know his head movement is very good posture, and he is only 20. Is there, like, Lomachenko? We don't know how long he's going to keep going for, but there's no rush to fight him. Like, let Lomachenko get a few more fights and a few more miles on the clock, and then go for him.
He's a big kid, Devin Haney, so that's probably their only concern, that if he wants to be this multi-weight champion, he probably has to get his lightweight belt in the next 12 months. So either Lomachenko's going to move up or move down rather, and vacate those. Vacate those titles, or he's just going to have to wait around.
I think the thing with Haney as well, looking at it, like he throws a massive overhand right. It was a great shot, like broke a man's orbital or something, wasn't it? But it's a win-win. Like Lomachenko is a win-win. We look at what Luke Campbell done, like, and he was outclassed for the majority of the fight, but he showed great determination, and I don't ever think he rocked Lomachenko. I think that was just
got his attention a few times.
Up a bit maybe. But
maybe the one was the 7th or 8th round where
he stepped back on his foot a little bit. He straightened him a bit, alright, but I don't think he ever hurt him, and like his stock has risen in that defeat. So maybe Haney is thinking, I'm 20, I get in. Like, if you were to be a matchmaker, would you rather Haney box Luke Campbell? And I think Luke Campbell will probably beat him. And where do you go from there? Or lose to Lomachenko and you're a massive name off the back of it? Do you know what I mean? So
that was the fight, I think. So they were 1 and 2 in the WBC, and then Lomachenko, WBC basically installed him as the guy for the vacant title. So it was unfortunate that those two didn't actually fight. But it's obviously an easier fight to make because they're both with DAZN. The Lomachenko, I think Bob Arum said he'd sooner go to court than take the Haney fight. They don't want anything to do with Haney either. So for those reasons, I don't think that one's actually going to happen. We'll switch to the female lightweights in a second because Katie Taylor is moving up. The undisputed champ is moving up to 140. But we should mention Amanda Serrano, who was on the Devin Haney card, and impressive.
Yeah, came out the first round. We've talked about this before. If there was 3-minute rounds, that's done in the first round.
Yeah,
I thought I thought it was going to be stopped even within the 2 minutes. She just came out, and what's so impressive about her is when she's throwing her punches, the range that she's in, but she's also, her feet are planted, so there's such power behind them. And most, if not all, apart from Heather Hardy, would have been gone. I don't know. Heather Hardy is tough.
Tough lady, yeah.
That she was able to actually come back and win maybe 1 or 2 rounds after taking that punishment in the first couple of rounds. But that's Serrano, and even I know we'll get on to Katie Taylor's next opponent. That would be my concern. Would they have power, and they'll be willing to take a few shots off Katie to walk through a few, to throw a few.
Yeah, like Luda Bella said, and granted he's a little bit biased, but he said she's the biggest puncher pound for pound in women's boxing, and it's hard to argue off that evidence.
She is, and she's won 3 world titles. She's won 3 world titles in 3 different weights, or 5 world titles in 3 different weights in the last year and 5 days. There's my research done for you now. Did Andy lead on that?
Excellent stuff. I hope Andy's watching in France there.
But yeah, the lightest weight she's done is at 115, so if you're saying, and Katie's gone up to 140 now, is she?
Yeah.
It's a lot of weight there.
They reckon the Serrano fight, would be 135, wouldn't it?
I saw Amanda was speaking out on social media there because we don't want to get into contracts, but she kind of was under the impression that fight was going to happen at the end of 2019, and obviously not, because Katie's fighting in November. So a little bit of back and forth. She, as you said off air, Niall, she was threatening to go back to MMA because she's a dual threat in that regard. But that fight is going to happen. I think it's been pegged for springtime in the theatre at Madison Square Garden, which would be a great one, and all the Irish community would come out for that. So we're all looking forward to that. We should mention, obviously, Katie is making that move up to 140. Phil, you've been doing some research on...
Well, I just watched, obviously, those that wouldn't have seen Linard, who, we saw at the press conference this week, and first of all, her camp weren't impressed that she doesn't have the option...
Don't get cute, Phil.
...of a rematch if she was to lose. And that's... Katie Taylor has everything in her favour because she's the champion. I know Linard is the champion as well, but what's noticeable about her, when she fought Candy Wyatt, she stopped her in the 6th round. She just came out and she's got power in her right hand, and she, as I say, she's willing to take punches as well. And I wonder, is Katie going to get dragged into a war like something similar to McCaskill, where, like we've mentioned Serrano as well, Linard, Katie's a better boxer than both of them, hands down, no problem. But if she gets into those wars, which she seems to love, because it shows that she can mix it up, that she can technically outbox them and she can mix it with them physically. But that would be my only concern, that if you get into a war, it's going to wear you out. And we saw that with the Pursoon fight as well. That was, if Pursoon had won that, would we have had much case for an argument if she was given it on points?
No, certainly.
It was close.
Yeah, it was split opinion, certainly. I take your point totally, because Katie's actually quite a small lightweight by all accounts, and this is obviously 5 pounds up. So you'd like to hope that she'd be more inclined to stick to her boxing when she knows she's at that weight disadvantage. But, she's still breaking down boundaries. The first woman to ever headline a show in the UK.
Brilliant. 21,000.
Yeah.
I think any decision she makes is a fairly smart decision. She's very clever.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have made this decision lightly. I think she was saying that Steve Collins and Cara Frampton are Ireland's only ever 2-weight world champions, so that was something she wanted to do. And I just think she's the most phenomenal athlete this country has ever had. So we shouldn't doubt any decision she makes. And I agree with you. She could, I don't think there's a female boxer on the planet that can box with Kay. if she boxes everyone, she beats them. But sometimes she gets drawn into that entertainment thing where she wants to mix. And
where is that coming from? Is that her saying, I'll show everyone I'm a brilliant boxer, but I can entertain as well? I mean, would we have a problem if she got her punches away, got out of range, and did that for 10 rounds and just schooled somebody? I mean,
has she shown it now though enough that she can go back to boxing? Technically, do you know, has she shown that maybe enough now, and she's got people attracted to her, to watching her, so hopefully she can just go back to boxing.
There was rounds in the Pursoon fight where they were perfect. They were exactly what the game plan was, and she looked incredible. And then the next round, Pursoon kind of drags her in, and then that's where her...
I don't know anything about the lady she's boxing now. I've never seen her, but I've looked at Amanda Serrano a lot, and she was very clever against Heather Hardy. Her distance was beautiful, and she's really quick hands, and
she threw nearly 600 punches as well.
And clever, like really nice punches, body, head, and used her southpaw jab really well, and like I thought she was very clever. But as clever as she is, she's still not a better boxer than Katie Taylor.
Katie'd be too quick for her.
Too quick, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's probably the best fight that can be made in women's boxing, and it's worthy of headlining an arena like that. So hopefully it can come together. Anthony Crolla is on that card and bidding farewell to boxing, full stop. And I think while Katie's the headline attraction, he'll probably close the show, and like it's probably a fitting send off for someone who's brought so many amazing nights to that arena. So one of the nice guys in boxing. He's been on the show a couple of times, and you can't deal with anyone better. Joshua Boazzi as well on that card, and a bit of a step up. So
the man will take them all in his ease. I watched him when I was over at AJ sparring. I watched him spar. Oh, what's the big tall cruiserweight? Akola. And Akola is a massive man, right? Massive cruiserweight. And Joshua Boazzi isn't that big. The man's unreal.
Really, yeah.
He's probably the best person I've ever seen for distance in boxing. I think he's class, and they can step him up as quickly as they want, or whatever way they want to do it. But the only thing is, he's such a nice guy, and really is a nice guy, but private fella, very smart. I think he waited to finish his degree as well. Like he's a clever fella, like, and he's just like he can do what he wants in boxing.
Yeah, because he came up when we were talking about the Kovalev and Yard fight, and we're just like, Boazzi obviously in that division, like, would he be in a position to fight any of the current champions? But it's interesting you say that.
Well, Anthony Yard surprised me that night, and I don't know if that's Yard boxing well or Kovalev on the come down, like, do you know.
He's got his retirement fight coming up in November.
Same night as this card we're talking about. So, as you said, November 2nd in Las Vegas, huge fight for DAZN, particularly who need one of these big fights. And Kovalev, Canelo, everyone's picking Canelo. It's hard to disagree, but like, he is moving up to 175, and Kovalev's a big unit, so
big jump. But I think we said it a second ago, like, Canelo is probably the only other boxer in boxing that could be afforded what Tyson got afforded that week.
Yeah, he probably gets even more afforded to him.
So Mexican beef and everything, and just take a couple of extra weeks holidays there, Canelo, and come back, like, so.
Yeah. If you lose rounds, you still win them.
Yeah.
And this show will be recorded before the World Championships wrap up, but just a word on the Irish interest.
Yeah, and I was very encouraged again by Michael Nevin. I know Andy is a big fan, and
it's great.
Yeah, certainly going in the right direction.
It was a strong performance. Like, Kirill Afanasev got bet on a split decision, and Michael got bet on a split decision.
Walsh as well. I thought
Walsh was bet on a split.
Yeah, I thought Walsh actually. I didn't think it was as close as the judges gave it that day against the English lad whose name.
Pat McCormack.
I thought McCormack looks like
the real deal, absolutely.
Yeah, he's very good.
They're twins, and there's two twins, then McCormack. So.
Yeah. So elsewhere in the Irish scene, we should mention this non-story that Conor McGregor was going to fight Luke Keeler, which seems to be nonsense as it seemed to be when we first read it.
And I think Luke has proved himself now that, like, why go and do what he done to Lewis Arias and then come back for a comic fight? Do you know what I mean? He's looking at the middleweight division. Like, I'd say he's looking at Bubu Andrade.
Yeah.
He's looking at other people to see, like, I can get in there and mix it with these people now. So, no, Conor is a backward step for Luke. Well, look, money is the most important thing. That's the other side of it.
Be life changing, can't it?
Yeah,
It could be a nice side attraction for him. But yeah, I think by all accounts they are negotiating the Andrade fight, so that would be obviously amazing, life changing stuff for Luke as well. So
a good fight for him, because we've talked about Andrade so much that every time you see him, you wait to see what is he going to bring, and
flattering to deceive.
Yeah, he wins comfortably without being spectacular.
He's raved about in America though, so I don't know whether it's gym stories or what it is, especially in Boston, and I know he's from Providence,
yeah.
But like Mark DeLuca and all, and they say he is the real deal. But I think it is a thing that he's never shown his full capability.
Well, that's it. Maybe
was he a world amateur champion as well?
Oh yeah.
Some night he could get pushed, and then we see the best of him.
Yeah.
But
who's going to do it? I suppose Billy Joe Saunders is probably, that fight could be resurrected now that they're both with Matchroom, so that might be a good fight, although again that could very much a chess match, and it mightn't suit either guy, so
I don't think it'd be a viewer's fight.
No. I think that's pretty much our lot. Any other bits of business, Phil?
No, I see Jaime Munguia won over the weekend as well.
Former champion Jaime Munguia.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's his last fight at 154, I think, by all accounts.
Yeah, it doesn't.
So Dennis won't get the rematch.
Doesn't look like it. There was talk a couple of weeks ago about Dennis against Charlo, but that
gone up to middleweight, wasn't it? Yeah.
Like, obviously he's fought at light heavyweight before, but he's still a small light middleweight. It's a difficult one. But
yeah, and he looked brilliant against Munguia.
Yeah, he was class, wasn't he?
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see him get something off the back of it, but the longer it goes on now, he won't, I suppose. And
we'll leave the last word to you, Niall. So, tentatively, are we expecting to see you back end of this year, or what are you thinking?
Definitely be back, and hopefully next 2 weeks there'll be good news and I can get back training properly. But I'm scheduled to fight once more this year, and I definitely won't be finishing my chapter on that story anyway. So, get back winning. And I'd love if Devin Vargas done me a favour and got back in the ring. But we'll wait and see what happens. Yeah, and we'll absolutely have you back in when that fight gets announced. Thanks a million for joining us, Niall.
And when Wexford win the All-Ireland.
I'll be back in that day as well.
More to the point. Thanks to producer Tom as well, and thanks to everybody for tuning in. We'll be back next week.